You've replayed that argument in your head so many times that you know it off by heart. And you keep telling yourself to let it go, but you can't. You keep replaying it in the shower, when driving, when you're cooking. It just doesn't stop. That's what we're talking about today. What happens when we get into conflict with somebody and the spiral when we cannot let it go. And by the end of today, I will give you a specific exercise where you can find a way to come back from that and not obsess over it. Welcome back to the 3-Minute Pause podcast. My name is Manisa, and today we are talking about how conflict leaves us feeling so filled with an adrenaline rush, but not a positive adrenaline rush. And what to do with all that information in our bodies and what to do with all that information in our heads. Why do you replay these conversations in your head over and over long after they've happened? And it's like you're looking at this from the angle of a movie. You're looking at every camera angle, every lens, every direction of how to analyze and reanalyze the entire situations. But the outcome's the same. You can't change the outcome. It's happened. So why do we get stuck? What do we get stuck in? Well, there's a couple of things that are happening here. So the first thing is you're triggered. And if you didn't want to know that or didn't know that, now you do. You're triggered when we get into conflict with somebody. If it's left on repeat inside of us, then it's an endless loop. The loop hasn't finished. So there's two cycles that are happening. One is the adrenaline cycle, which is an actual physical cycle, and one is the emotional cycle, and the two feed each other. They don't necessarily work separately. But I'm going to try and talk about them separately so we get a better understanding of them. So the adrenaline cycle, what's happening is when we get into conflict, our entire body, our entire system has to get ready for conflict. Conflict is not necessarily a natural space to be. Not for everybody anyway. I certainly know that conflict can be really challenging, especially if you have to gear up to it. So there's usually the part that you have to get ready, in the conversation of what you think is going to happen is playing in your mind over and over and over, and how you hope the conversation is going to go. And you practice. I don't know about you, I practice in the shower and practice what it's going to sound like and how we're going to say it, and how amazing you sound if you say it this way versus if you say it that way. We all do that. I wouldn't worry about that one. We replay it in advance in hopes of getting some level of control over what we think is going to happen. So it's an anticipatory fear, if you will. I'm afraid of what is going to happen when I get into this conflict situation because I don't like conflict and I'm not comfortable with it. So I have to really get ready for it. And that includes the words I want to say. I'm going to practice some of the lines. I'm going to practice some of my points because I don't want to forget them in the moment. That's what's happening beforehand. And then when you get into the conflict situation, all of a sudden, your entire body has to step up and meet that. Your heart is racing, your pupils are dilated, your pores are all open. Sometimes I don't know about you, but if you can feel the hair on your arms, sometimes they're on end. You get a little shiver in your body. And your muscles are all sort of tight and ready to fire off, almost like you're going to run, because your body's gone into what we call fight or flight. That is the fight or flight sequence. It's the body sequence that you go through so that you are then able to get ready for danger, or what is considered a dangerous situation. So when we go through emotional fight or flight, we go through physical fight or flight as well. The two don't separate from each other. So now you're emotionally getting ready for this conflict. Whether that's your boss or your lover or your child, it doesn't matter. The sequence of events is the same. And then you get into the conflict situation. The conversation happens. And then the spiral after continues. And in that moment, the adrenaline cycle hasn't finished. The physical adrenaline cycle hasn't completed itself. So the adrenaline is literally running through your body still. And it needs time to process and focus. And by focus, I mean come out of your body. So the only way to do that is to become more physical. So go for a run, go for a walk, go move, dance. Anything that puts you back in your body will end up finishing the cycle, that it needs to finish, the physical cycle, so that the adrenaline can then come out of your system. Okay. And if you've ever noticed, trying to go to sleep when you have that adrenaline spike, it's impossible. Your body can't calm down. Your brain cannot calm down from that, because all it's doing is going, it's awake and it's aware and it's unable to shut down, because it's got the signal, I got to stay awake. I got to stay awake. I've got to be focused. I'm in a dangerous situation. It cannot just switch that off. Okay, your alarm, it's an alarm. Your alarm system's on. So we've got to punch in the code and get the alarm to calm down, right? And the only way to do that is time and run your body through the physical release. Okay. Then there's the emotional one. The emotional one, I think, is really painful, because the emotional one is what keeps you in that spiral and stuck inside of the agony of what it first of all took to get ready for this conversation, and now analyzing if you did it right, or you said the things you wanted to say, and did you say it the right way? Did you draw your boundary? Did you stand up for yourself? Asking all those important questions of how you showed up, and if you showed up the way you promised yourself you would and or needed to. That's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure that you're putting on yourself in that moment. And I get it. But what ends up happening is, when we stay stuck in that loop, that emotional loop in our heads, it's because there's a piece inside of us that was triggered. And the piece that was triggered is the part that says, did I show up? Did I defend myself? Did I speak out loud? Did I say what I was supposed to say? And all your anxieties are coming out of that. All your insecurities. Did they like me? Did they hate me? Did they see the way I stood up? Did they judge me? Do they not want to know me anymore? Do they not want to be in a relationship with me? If it's my boss, am I going to get fired? All those questions. And all of it, if you look at the pattern, it's all about, how do they see me? How do they see me as a result of the situation? And that's what you're agonizing over. Because how they see me determines how they're going to treat me. And how they're going to treat me determines whether or not I can survive in this relationship. Because if they don't treat me well, I won't cope. I will feel sad. I will feel hurt. I will feel rejected. I will feel abandoned. The spiral after the conflict is incredibly challenging, because what it's doing is touching every one of your fears and insecurities, and then triggering them, and almost like you're switching them on all at the same time. Is it any wonder that you're just going in a loop? Yeah. Of course you are. All your alarm systems have been switched on at the same time. Every single thing that you need to be worried about, afraid of, try to control, try to manage, all of those have been switched on at the same time by the conflict. So try and be gentle with yourself. So how do we switch off that alarm? The pause. Yes, the pause. The best way to switch off the emotional alarm is when you stop and when you pause and look at what I'm worried about, what I'm anxious about is what they're going to think of me. And actually what they're going to think of me is how they're going to treat me. And I'm scared of how they're going to treat me. So what we do is we take that fear, we acknowledge it first, we identify and acknowledge it first. I'm afraid of how they're going to treat me and what this is going to do to my relationship with this person. And then put your hands on your shoulders and you give yourself a butterfly hug. And as you're feeling the feeling of fear, you simply just do some alternate tapping like this. And breathe. Just breathe. And just do this about 30 seconds. Alternating. The butterfly hug. Just tap, alternating your hands. And keep breathing and just keep feeling that fear until it calms down. And it will. And you will come back into your body. So if you have any upcoming conflict this week, try it out. Come and tell me how it went. I'd love to know. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe so others can join the pause too. For show notes and more, please visit www.manisakimji.com.